you ever tried something on the side? A business, a brand, a side project, anything. And you got close, you got excited, and then something stopped you. You got busy, maybe scared, or just quietly let it die without really admitting why. Here's what I want to tell you. The business wasn't the problem. You were. And I mean that in the most useful possible way. And I'm not trying to be harsh because the thing that's stopping you isn't strategy. It's everything you've been avoiding for the last, however many years. My name is Gavin. Appreciate you being here. And what I'm about to share is going to help you prevent a lot of unnecessary future pain. I'm 51 years old. 25 years roughly in corporate, top performer, tried building businesses on the side, more times than I want to admit, and quit before every single one got going. And they figured out why though. I'm going to walk you through it in the next 12 minutes. So I'm literally about to walk out the door right now. It's late afternoon and my day should be wrapping up, but I've got a sales appointment in about 45 minutes, which honestly, at this stage of my life, it's just unacceptable and frustrating because I have very little control of my schedule. But here I am. And I was sitting here thinking about the last time I tried to build something and the time before that and the pattern I kept seeing it. I realized I needed to talk about this because nobody in this side business space really talks about this. You know what YouTube will sell you, the tactics, best side hustles for 2026, how to make 10,000 a month with no audience. 6 steps to replace your income. And look, some of that stuff, it's fine. It's not wrong, but it's also completely useless if you haven't dealt with the actual real problem. And the actual problem is this. When you try to start a business, a real business, not a passive income fantasy, it forces everything you've been successfully avoiding to rush straight to the surface and makes you confront it. Your fears, your limiting beliefs, your unexamined assumption about who you are, what you're worth, all of it. Suddenly, at once, the business isn't hard. The confrontation is hard. And that's exactly what I want to walk you through today. Because if you understand what's actually happening, if you can name the thing, you stop running from it. And that will change everything for the better and help you finally overcome what has stopped you. It has for me. So the first thing that surfaces when you start building something is the fear of being seen trying. Think about where you've been for the last couple of decades. You know what you're doing. You've been good at your job, doing the same thing, maybe great at it. You have a title, you have credentials, you have a reputation. When you walk into a room in your industry, people know who you are, right? The second you start building something of your own, all that disappears. You're a beginner. Again, you're posting things online that get 3 likes and one of them is your spouse. You feel vulnerable. You're doing a webinar and 2 people show up. You're recording YouTube videos in your car on a Saturday, like some kind of deranged person, which yes, I have done often. I remember the first time someone I worked with saw something I posted about my business. Not a big thing, just like a LinkedIn post, I think. Felt this immediate wave of, I can only describe it as like shame or I've been caught doing something embarrassing. Like I was a manager acting like an entrepreneur. And that feeling stopped, not once, multiple times. And here's what's interesting about that. Research consistently shows that the number one reason people don't start businesses isn't lack of capital or even ideas. It's fear of failure, specifically fear of social failure, what others think, because we're wired for belonging. In evolutionary terms, being cast out from the group is dangerous. Looking foolish is a threat signal. But here's the reframe. The people you're worried about aren't watching. They're scrolling. They have their own noise. And the ones who are paying attention, they're either quietly rooting for you or quietly wishing they had the nerve to try something themselves. The fear of being seen trying is the entry fee for building anything real. And by the way, if you're in this spot right now and you want a starting point, I put together a free corporate escape assessment. And that's where you are and the first steps to building something on the side without blowing up your life or irresponsibly, right? Links in the description. And so let's keep going because this is where it gets interesting. The second thing that surfaces, and this one catches most people completely off guard, is a full-scale identity crisis. And here's what I mean. Your whole sense of self for decades has been organized around what you do. I'm a VP of sales. I'm a senior account executive. I've sold $50 million, whatever. The title just isn't your job. It is you. It's how you introduce yourself at parties. It's how you justify your value. It's the story you tell yourself about who you are. And when you start a side business, you're suddenly also something else, something you don't have a name for yet. And when someone asks you what you do, you say, I'm in corporate, but I'm working on something on the side. And even as you say it, you can hear how apologetic it sounds. I had this experience where someone asked me what I was building, and I tried to explain it. I said, like the corporate escape lab, the YouTube channel, that idea that I was going to help people figure out how to build something of their own and make the second chapter, everything they'd wanted for their first chapter. And the colleague, just kind of looked at me with this polite confusion. Why would you do that? You're already successful. And I felt it pull to just say, never mind, it's nothing, ignore me. Because the new identity didn't have the weight of the old identity, not yet. And here's what I've come to understand about that feeling. Studies on professional identity, specifically people who go through major career transitions, show that identity is one of the most rigid aspects of self-concept in adults, which means pulling away from it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like loss, even when what you're losing is a cage. The discomfort isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's the old identity dying so the new one can be born. And honestly, this is the part where I go slightly spiritual on you, but hear me out. It's basically the universe's way of saying you've outgrown this skin, which is uncomfortable, but it's also the whole point. You're not having a crisis. You're having a clarification. The third thing, and this one is the sneakiest because it hides behind practicality. When you start building something from zero, you're making nothing or close to nothing. And after 25 years of being the top performer, the one with the big W-2, the bonuses, the president clubs, or whatever it's meant for you, making no money for your efforts is a genuinely strange feeling. I'm not talking about the financial fear, which it's real and legitimate. I get that. I'm talking about something else. The thing underneath it, the way making $0 from your business made me feel, even briefly, worthless. Not broke, worthless. Like if there's no number attached to the effort, did the effort matter? The first month I tried to run my own thing, genuinely tried, I made nothing. But a few months in, made nothing. And I remember, looking at that blank revenue report and feeling this weird, quiet shame, not panic, shame. And I thought, where'd that come from? What it revealed, and this is the thing nobody warned me about, is I had spent 25 years measuring my value in dollars. And I never examined it. I just accepted it because in corporate, that measurement works. It's everything. You perform, you get paid, you feel good about yourself, clean transaction. But starting a business, it doesn't work on that timeline. And if you go in with your self-worth wrapped up in the numbers, you're going to feel worthless before you ever feel free. The business doesn't show you what you're building. It shows you what you've been believing. 6 months from now, you could still be sitting on the idea, or you could have actually started. The gap between those two futures is usually one clear decision and a map. And that's why I built the Corporate Escape Reset Blueprint. Again, it's free for anyone watching. It walks you through how to identify what you're actually building, what you could, how to structure your first offer around your experience you already have, and how to start without burning your income to the ground while you try to figure out. It's not a course. It's not a sales pitch. It's a starting point. The link is in the description. And let's get back to the good part. Here's what nobody told me. The part I wish someone had sat me down and said clearly, every single thing that surfaces when you try to build something, the fear of being, seen, trying, the identity crisis, the self-worth stuff, that is not a reason to stop. That's a map. The specific fears that come up for you are not random. They're pointing directly at the exact beliefs that have been keeping you stuck, not just in business, in your corporate career too, in your relationships, in the version of your life you've been quietly tolerating for years. The person terrified of being seen trying has been playing small for decades. in the job, in the relationships, maybe in the life they could have had. The person whose self-worth collapses without a paycheck, right, has been running from worthlessness since long before they took a corporate job. This isn't there. I'm not a therapist, but here's what I know. If you want to understand why your life looks the way it does, start building something, because building something will show you everything. And let me say that again. The fear of failure isn't the obstacle. It's the curriculum. It's showing you exactly what you need to work on to become the person who can actually build this. And if you're still watching, thank you for that, by the way. But most people click away before they get this part, which is kind of the whole point. And then hopefully this landed. And I want you to sit with something for a second. Imagine it's 2 years from now. You start, not perfectly, not with a perfect plan or a full audience or a validated offer. You just started. And you look back at this moment, wherever you are watching this right now, as the moment something shifted. Not because the business immediately worked, not because you went from corporate drone to seven-figure entrepreneur in 18 months, like the YouTube ads promised you, but because you stopped running from the confrontation, because you finally got honest with yourself about what was actually stopping you. That's the second chapter, not the income statement, not the freedom, the version of you that got built in the messy, uncomfortable, humbling process of building. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not too old. You're awakening to your possibility, to who you are. And it's about time. So here's where I want to land this. The business is the mirror. What surfaces when you try to build is exactly what you need to dissolve to become the person who can actually do it. The fear, the identity stuff, the self-worth stuff, all that. That's not in your way. It's the way. If you're in the messy middle right now, if you try to start something and you keep stopping, it's not because you don't have what it takes. It's because you've forgotten fully. You actually haven't gotten honest with what's been actually stopping you. The Corporate Escape Reset Blueprint is the starting point. It's free. Again, links in the description. You'll be amazed. Pull up a chair. And next week, I'm covering the exact moment I knew that corporate wasn't going to be enough. The moment the gold pancake stopped feeling like security and started feeling like a sentence. If today hit different, that one's going to hit harder. I'll see you there. Would love to hear comments. I read all of them. Share this if you have a friend who needs to hear this, and really enjoy being on this journey with you. Appreciate you spending the time, and anything you would be welcome to do to help share this out there would be great. Like, subscribe, all of that. Thanks so much. Much love.